Welcome to Bonehead Truckers. U.S. Express and X broad layoffs amid reduced truck count. This is Chattanooga Times Free Press. I'd read this article right here, but you got to pay for it, and I'm too broke to go. Listen, back in the day, you go take a quarter and go get you a newspaper, okay? It ain't happening on the internet anymore. You definitely can't hardly find an actual an actual newspaper. Then now you gotta go subscribe to it on the internet. That's just, hey, that's times we live in. But this website right here covers it. U.S. Express cuts staff as freight demand drops and truck count shrinks. U.S. Express, but they're not the only ones. U.S. Express, CRST, 10 Roads, and there's so many other companies, medium-sized companies, smaller companies. They're having to downsize, and everyone wants to blame it. I say everyone. All the leftards, you know, they look for an opening, and they sit there and say, "Oh, let's blame it on Trumpy Trump. Let's blame it on Trumpy Trump right now." And then, well, what the problem is that this has actually been happening, and this has just been waiting to happen for a number of years now. We have allowed foreigners to invade this country. Okay, and more importantly to us truck drivers, they have invaded our trucking industry, our jobs. Okay, and this is the reason why truck drivers, American truck drivers that do it right, they fizzle out because they can't make any money. Okay, these foreigners are coming in from their third world countries where they go and play and poop. They don't have running water. Their IQ is below 50, if that's even possible. These people are dumb and they're stupid. Okay, that's just the way it is. They get in a truck. They go drive those, 1,500-mile runs that we used to have. Okay, and they take their money that they make, which is a lot less. Okay, a lot less than what an American citizen's going to call that for, and he's going to take that money and send it back home to his third world country, and they're going to live like kings. Okay, that's what they're going to do. And then in the meantime, they're not trained. They're not trained properly. They're not making the money, and then before you know it, they're running over people. And you have the headlines that we've had all year long in 2025. And now, as we close 2025 and we go to usually what is traditionally the slowest quarter of the year, the first 1 to 2 quarters of the next year, 2026, we're liable to see a lot more headlines of trucking companies doing massive layoffs or even closing down. And we've had a lot of good things happen with Duffy Duff and Trumpy Trump sitting there making all these executive orders and getting English proficiency in there and everything. The only problem that I see is the enforcement. We're getting things done, but the enforcement. But back to what I was saying, these companies going, that may be going broke, having to cut back, maybe closing their doors. The leftards they have it wide open for them to say, "Oh, let's blame Trumpy Trump," when we could blame Trump because, listen, he was elected president in 2016. Okay, he didn't do anything about the trucking industry in those 4 years. You can blame it on Biden. You can blame it on Obama. I mean, just now Trump is actually doing something. That's only because he cannot ignore us. He cannot ignore us, because when he ran for president, he wasn't sitting there saying, "Truck drivers, I'm gonna get the foreigners off the road." He wasn't saying that. He's only just now saying that just for the fact that he can't ignore us. He can't ignore the headlines. He can't ignore how loud we are. This trucking industry is going through a reset. It has to, especially if law enforcement does their job. There will be layoffs. There will be companies closing down. That's the sad thing about it. But in order to get these foreigners off the road, and listen, if you ask my opinion, if we have ICE do mass exodus, freaking deportations, without those deportations, especially in the trucking industry, then it's not going to change. Okay, because they're still doing those coast-to-coast runs. They're still out there doing those coast-to-coast runs that you used to do. And you used to make good money doing it. Okay, now you're stuck with those 300-mile runs. So you pick up you waste half a day picking up a load. You run it 300 miles, and the next day you have to waste another half a day to go deliver, and then you gotta go pick up. And then, but before you know, you only have 1,500 miles in a 7-day work week. Am I extreme there? Yeah. I mean, our drivers getting that low, not every week. But those are the type of loads that are running people out of the trucking industry. Those young truck drivers, those new truck drivers that wanted to go coast to coast and wanted to go see the country and make good money doing it. They're not able to now because those loads aren't available. Those jobs aren't available. Now, the good thing about these foreigners, because they are so dumb, they are so stupid, okay? They can't do those, they can't do the specialized freight. They can't do the dedicated. They can't go and pull those grocery loads, okay? They can't haul the oversized. They can't do the flatbed, okay? They can't do all the different types of tanker jobs there are out there. So there are those jobs out there, but now all of a sudden you have all these Americans that are smart. We're smarter. That's just how it is. We're smarter, okay? But we demand more. All of a sudden, those jobs have a waiting list, because we can't get them because there's so many ones out there. And so now you're just stuck. Now drivers are losing their houses, losing their cars, losing their families. Trucking companies are having to do mass layoffs while we have foreigners in this trucking industry that have taken over. These invaders. They are invaders. They don't belong here. And we've proven that. We proved it on X. We proved it here on this channel. We have so many illegal truck drivers. They're illegal here. They're just illegal. And no one has done anything about it until we stepped in here on YouTube, on X, where mainstream media could not ignore this anymore. And once mainstream media started to pick it up, then all of a sudden, Duffy Duff comes out here and makes all these claims, and we're going to do something about it. And now the freaking Sikhs and all these other people, they're mad. Now they're clapping back. But the leftards are going to blame it on Trumpy Trump. And they fail to realize that this has been happening. We went through the pandemic in 2020, where you had arguably the worst economy, right? Because of that. But we never bounced back. The trucking industry never bounced back. Other industries did. But how come the trucking industry went down after the economy went back up after the pandemic? You want to know the reason why? It's because of all the foreign truck drivers that were allowed in this country. So when you listen to these freaking half-brained idiots on YouTube sit there and saying it's all Trump's fault, no, it ain't. It's not all Trump's fault. You better go and look at the numbers. You better go and look at the situations we put ourselves in with all these foreigners. And that's the reason why in 2025, here on Bonehead Truckers, we have made a stand. We made a stand. And in 2026, we're not letting off the gas. Okay? We're just not. It's just the way it is. But we're getting these foreigners off the truck, out of the trucks and off the roads, and hopefully back to their countries. So you may be wondering, why am I sitting here talking about this? I never did talk about why these companies are doing mass layoffs, these legit trucking companies. Because these companies are legit. They hire Americans. That's what they do. They don't hire illegals. So the companies that actually hire, right, they hire American citizens that speak English. These are the ones they're the ones having to shut down. Because they can't compete with all these little bitty, whatever you want to call them, from Chicago, whatnot. You can't compete with them. They can't compete with them because they don't have cheap labor. That's what it is. That's the reason why you have the legit trucking companies shutting down. That's the reason why I'm on board. Listen, I don't care, mega carrier, small carrier, medium-sized carrier. If you hire and train drivers right, I am pro trucking companies. I am. Don't matter if you're a 2-truck company or you got 3,000 trucks. It doesn't matter to me. If you do it right, you do it legit, I'm all for American trucking companies. Bonehead Truckers, we gone.